Man, get ready to learn 10.
I'm glowing.
Coming up on today's episode of DLLS Mavs, it's media day as we hear from your favorite Mavericks, our reactions to what Luka, Klay, and Kyrie had to say, all that and more on today's episode of DLLS Mavs. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks Insider Tim Cato, Mavericks Analyst Bobby Carella. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single day. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports here on YouTube. You can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports, at Tim_Cato, at Bobby Carella, and you can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line for our guy, Mark Stein. Such an exciting day today as the Mavericks had media day. We heard from Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, the newest Maverick, Klay Thompson, and so many more. So much to react to, our takeaways, and a little bit later on in our show, Cato's Corner, Tim Cato with his news and notes and takeaways from today's media day as well. But
is that what we're calling it?
Cato's Corner. That's what we're going to call it.
Interesting. Okay.
You was good with it earlier, so I don't know why you hesitate.
No, this is the first time I'm hearing it.
Out loud in that way?
Yeah.
What if we called it Tim's Table?
I think it's
Tim's Takeaways?
It's Cato's Corner in the sense that I am put in timeout in a corner. I have to stare right at the corner.
Yeah, we'll put you over there where all the crickets are.
Or we just put you, for a corner three and you just knock
Cato's
them down
corner.
like you normally do. Since you like, wow, anyway.
Yeah.
Tim Cato, Bobby Carella, what's going on?
It's media day. Well, it was media day. It's still media day.
Yeah, the news breakers and news makers were out in full force today. So I'm curious to hear more about y'all's experience in the building. It's DLLS Sports' first media day. How about that?
It was energetic. There was a lot of folks there, the normal names and normal suspects that who cover the Mavericks all in the same building together. But
they were all talking about us.
Yes, they were all talking about us because thanks to Tanner, shout out to our guy Tanner, our producer, creating the Klay Thompson viral photo with him, his arms folded, standing with the headband. You just go look on social media, you'll see it. Just gone and made the social media rounds today. But Tim, I would say that there was an excitement in the air, obviously, because basketball is right around the corner, and we got the chance to hear from the Mavericks today in what was a fun-filled media day, I would say.
Yeah, media days are fun. They are there's a lot of hype.
Yeah.
There's a lot of excitement. It is the dawn of the new basketball season. It is the first chance to see players in uniform, and 9 times out of 10 you learn really nothing. And I'm just being real. I'm just being honest.
For sure.
But you should not click out of this channel over the next 55 minutes because you're about to learn a whole lot.
You're going to hear from Luka here in just a minute as well, too.
There was if you only learn 1 out of 10 things, 1 out of 10 quotes, questions, all that, there's like 200 questions given. That's some stuff to learn. Yeah. There's definitely some stuff in there mixed throughout various press conferences that I'm very interested in diving into. It's time for that. I think that the learning as it happens will really begin once preseason starts. Like once we actually start seeing this, even the coaching staff is out here. They want to see the players on the court. Mark Stein has been out here reporting, telling us, informing us that this team has been together on the court for weeks now. But it's different once you actually start practicing, once you have the regiment of training. And that's what I'm excited for. But you know what media day really means? It means that stuff is coming right up. Yeah. And that's what's so exciting about it.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to learn, like, no one's ever going to tell you the real secrets, spill all the tea in front of a podium or from behind a podium. But we're about to learn this time next week when the Mavs are playing preseason basketball. Like, we're going to learn so much about this team over the next few days and the next few weeks before the real thing gets started on the 23rd.
Jay says he learned that I like walking in front of the camera. Is that true?
Did you spend a lot of time walking in front of cameras today?
Well, so I was on the opposite side, so I did have to go to the other side a few times. That's true. Honestly, I think he's right.
So you were crossing the face of the podium quite a bit today, is what you were doing.
Well, I have to make sure that people see me.
Of course you do.
That's what they're there.
Tim Cato wants to be seen. You know what? You're right. This was the Tim Cato show today. He was there. He was there to be seen, and he was seen quite a bit. In fact, you'll hear from Tim a little bit later on, specifically in what I like to call Cato's Corner. He may not like it, but I like it. Cato's Corner, what he took away from Media Day today. Also, check out Mark Stein's exclusive interview with Luka Doncic. He sat down with him 7-8 minutes and had a fantastic conversation with him. Already looking like a viral video already in DLLS Sports. So take a look at that as far as the Luka Doncic interview from Mark Stein. But speaking of Luka Doncic, some highlights from that particular interview. Tanner, Luka Doncic having a chance to talk with our guy Mark Stein, detailing his offseason and what he's been working on as well, but also letting us know how he's feeling about the roster changes for the Mavericks this upcoming season. Here's what Luka had to say regarding the new roster this year.
What do you think about the roster? This team made some changes. Obviously, Klay Thompson is the headline change that everybody's excited about. How much different do you think this team will be when you compare it to the team that finished last season?
I mean, we had some great pieces, I would say. You know, obviously Klay, Naji, Grimes. So I think those three, they're very good players, and they're going to help us a lot. They know how to play basketball. They're experienced, and, you know, should be fun.
So Luka Doncic excited about the new pieces with Klay Thompson, Naji Marshall, and Quentin Grimes as well. Looking forward to seeing how these pieces all fit together on the floor this season, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, you know, throughout the day, kind of a big theme was expectations, right? Like the Mavs were good, and Luka said we were good, right? Luka said he said we were great, and then he said no. He corrected himself, said no, we're good. But you know, Luka and Kyrie obviously spoke very highly of Klay, but Kyrie made it a point. Luka did as well, obviously, to talk about some of the other additions the Mavs made. I mean, this is a team that went to the finals and lost a starter in Derrick Jones. Now, they replaced him with Klay Thompson, but they lost some bench guys too. They lost some experience. They lost guys that have been a part of this thing for a few years now. And so, you know, everybody, it feels like, kind of understands we're one of the top dogs in the NBA, but we're right back down at the bottom of the mountain with everybody else. And these new guys are hopefully going to help us climb right back up to the top and maybe even reach the summit this time around. But like, it's going to be walking this fine line all season between pressure, expectations to perform, all that stuff, but also trying to figure it out because there is a lot of change. There's a lot of new.
Klay Thompson talking about some of that today as well during Media Day about the amount of time it's going to take for him to adjust to the team and obviously them adjusting to him. A couple of weeks, a couple of, practices, all of these things to get the chemistry together. Luka Doncic embracing some of that and what that means for this team and how quickly this team can gel together based off of what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, he said he thinks it's going to take a week or two.
Yeah,
and I liked when he said this is going to be his most important preseason in a long time.
Mm-hmm. When
you're a veteran in the league, going back to the same team, preseason is just inherently boring. It's kind of rote. It's you've done it before. Your teammates. Yeah, there's going to be new teammates, but Klay Thompson has never been this excited, and there's times like even Klay is. Don't read into. I remember people trying to read into his opening presser and whether he, just the idea that maybe he didn't seem excited for it. No, it's just kind of how he is. He's not going to be a, huge. He kind of has like a solemn look. Especially while he's like processing a question. I kind of saw that again.
You can tell he's like thinking.
Yeah,
he's really he's a
thinker.
Hard.
Yeah, think like a thinker is exactly kind of his demeanor. But
also that was like 11 in the morning, and I think he had flown in from out of town like that morning or the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes people are just kind of tired.
But you kind of saw it today too.
Yeah.
But then he would perk up and he would answer questions. And 3:42 p.m.
It's been a long day for me.
It's been a long day for Bobby.
And it's just getting started.
Wow. So yeah, that was my takeaway. That's what I have for that.
More from Mark Stein with Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic talking about how the Mavericks will respond and how he will respond after the Mavericks lost in the NBA Finals last year. Take a look and listen.
A big question, I think, for everybody around town is, this team got all the way to the finals but didn't win in the finals, and how are the Mavericks going to respond to that? When you think about it, you've won a Euro League, you've won a Eurobasket, but to get all that way and then fall just short at the end, how do you think this team is going to bounce back from that?
I think it was a great experience for us. You learn something. A lot of these guys, including me, weren't in the finals before, so I think we can learn from it. Everybody knows that we're in the finals, so it's going to be tougher this year, but it's a tough and long road, so we have to be ready.
So can you look back at last season and say it was a good season despite the way it ended?
Yeah, I think it's a good season, but at the end you didn't win, so for me it's not a good season. In the end, all that counts is if you win a championship. So it was a good season, but I would say for me it's not good enough.
Luka Doncic is making it clear that, yes, last year was a good season, but the expectation is winning a championship, and we know that's exactly what he has his mindset on this upcoming year. Tim, your reaction to hearing Luka chronicle how the year went, but obviously you can tell what's good enough for him is winning and hoisting that Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the season.
Why wouldn't it be? He was winning championships and, Euro basket competitions when he was 17, 16, 18. This is his standard. This is what he believes in. It's not that, he came into the NBA immediately expecting to win championships. I think that's clear, but this is his standard. It's one that he's met at every other level of basketball he's played at. That is the only answer I would expect from him. It's the right answer to give in this context, and that's what Dallas is here to do. If you go to the NBA Finals, you expect to be a team that can win it, and that's what Dallas did last season. That's what they're going to be trying to accomplish this coming season.
Quick point to add: how cool is it that Luke said that on our own channels to our own reporter?
It is
exclusively to us. That's so cool. Check out our YouTube channel after this and watch the whole interview for yourself. It's a good way to spend your time, in my opinion, unbiased opinion.
Or slightly. No, I'm just joking. No, it was honestly listening to him. You could tell for him, not just coming off the NBA Finals last year, but the motivation for this entire team. One of the themes and takeaways I had from today was competition. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more as the show goes on, but they're going to be fostering a lot of competition for this team this upcoming year. And the competitive juices, you could tell, are already flowing for Luka Doncic in this group, knowing how close they were in terms of at least getting to the finals, but obviously the disappointment in losing in 5 games to the Celtics. You can tell that this team is ready to get back on the floor and try to prove that last year's run wasn't a fluke and that they are going to be as part of the top tier of the West this upcoming season. It should be a lot of fun to see how this team goes about their daily business day in and day out, because they're going to get every team's best shot every single night when it comes to being a target in the West. And I think this team firmly understands what that means for this upcoming season for them.
I think going that far is really great because it's kind of they're not children, but like it's affirmation, validation that you're doing the right thing, that you're on the right track, that you are that good. Like, yeah, we beat the Clippers, beat the Wolves, beat the Thunder, like beat all these great teams. And now like the Wolves remade their team, the Clippers remade their team, the Thunder remade their team after the Mavs beat them. So like they're coming after Dallas now, but Boston handled you pretty good. So like it's a reminder, yeah, we're great, but we still got to go a little more. We're not that great. We're not that great.
There's still work to do for sure.
Yes, I mean it was
a team killer though.
Hey, Luke is a team killer. Boston, you're next.
He's sending these teams to the shadow
Boston
realm, man.
beat the Mavs, and Wade Grousbeck is still selling the team. How about that? Luke is a real franchise killer, but no, like it's a good, it's a very good experience. Okay, but they know they got more work to do, and I mean that's the right approach, and I'm happy that he's being honest about that.
That work, of course, begins tomorrow when they begin training camp in Las Vegas. Coming up here in just a moment, this one thing that Jason Kidd said got us going when it comes to Luka Doncic on the defensive end. And a little bit later on, we'll have Cato's Corner in terms of Tim Cato's news and notes on what he was able to take away from Media Day as well. But before we get there, let me talk to you a little bit about Sleeper. I got some ball knowers on set with me, and I know you're a ball knower as well. And if so, I need you to download the Sleeper app. The Sleeper app that you know for hosting the best fantasy football leagues in the game now allows you to put your knowledge to the test in every game by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less in their projected stats each week. Cowboys going to be back in action against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road on Sunday Night Football against Justin Fields and Mike Tomlin. I'm taking Dak Prescott to have over 200 passing yards, CeeDee Lamb to have more than 50 receiving yards to try to get a road win against the Steelers. With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. If you think you have what it takes, Download the Sleeper app and use the code DLLS Mavs to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. See Sleeper today.
I got a nice collection of plays tonight and Monday Night Football. I'm looking forward to following along. Yeah.
By the way, I'm sick of double headers on Monday Night Football. Just had to throw that in
Me
there.
too.
Yeah, I'm over that.
It's good for Sleeper, though.
It is good for Sleeper. It is definitely good for Sleeper for sure.
Bobby, did you know that we're driven by the search for better? But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. I was asking around at Media Day. I think the Mavericks are using that to try to replace you. Yeah.
Oh,
after you left.
They're going to need some help on that.
Yeah. Well, that's good because, if you or the Mavericks need to hire, you or they need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Yes, that's candidates better than Bobby Karalla.
What the heck?
That was mean. I'm kidding, Bobby.
Wow.
No, keep going.
Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for
crying.
scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates as good as Bobby Karalla faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/allcity. Just go to Indeed.com/allcity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/allcity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Or Bobby Karalla.
I appreciate it, Tim.
Can't replace me.
We've got over 100 people watching the live show right now. If you're in there, make sure you hit the like button. The quickest way you can help us grow here at DLLS Sports. Like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports here on YouTube. Coming up in a little while, Tim Cato will drop his news and notes on his takeaways from Mavericks Media Day. But, gentlemen, a quote from Jason Kidd about Luka Doncic on the defensive end got some headlines as well. We know how good the Mavericks were defensively last year, becoming one of the best defensive teams in the league. How do they carry that forward this year? And does it start with their superstar? Take a listen to what Jason Kidd had to say about what Luka Doncic got to do on the defensive end this year.
Jason, last season, Derek Jones served a role for you guys where he would guard down, he would take point guards and quicker guards. Who on this roster do you see being able to pick up, that defensive responsibility? And if the starting lineup ends up being Luka, Kyrie, Klay, and PJ, how do you, who are you looking to fill that position and to be able to guard players like that when you come across them?
Luka. Why not? Well, that's a good start. It's going to be a committee. I think this league is about matchups and being able to get the matchups right. There's going to be times where Luka's going to have to guard someone, and that's just part of being the best in the world. And I don't think he's going to run from that. But Kai and Klay, there's going to be a committee of guys that we're going to have to guard. But the beauty about our defense is that we're here to help each other. And you've seen that here over the last couple of years. As much as we talk about the individual, we're built on team defense. And so there's going to be nights where Luka's going to have to guard maybe someone a little bit quicker. And he'll tell you there's not too many guys that are as fast as him. So, but it'll be a great challenge for our group, and we look forward to that. But I know everybody thinks I was joking, but there is some seriousness that Luka's going to have to guard somebody.
Luka's got to guard somebody. It's going to be by committee to be considered part of being the best in the world. You've got to be able to perform on that defensive end. Tim, obviously, you were the one that asked that question. What prompted that question about that side of the ball for Luka, and when it comes to the Mavericks defense, what was the reason behind that question? Because I'm interested to know why you decided to come up with that question for Kid in that time.
What's your guess?
Because the defense is going to be a big question for the Mavericks this year.
Yeah. it's because we can't stop talking about this, or
Sure.
at least I can't. And if you're choosing to tune in, then you've heard me talk about this a lot.
A big concern of the season.
Derek Jones was somebody in the starting lineup that covered for Luka and Kyrie. this is something that he did all season. It's a big reason why he was made a starter for this team. He came into the starting lineup and he was able to go guard those quicker point guards and go guard, the shooting guards that run around screens and get their shots that way. And so I was curious what Jason Kidd's reaction or his vision of how that would work. This is the first time Jason Kidd has talked. He wasn't at the opening press conference. That was just Nico and Michael Finley. And so to get Jason on the record about what it's going to look like was my primary question. That was probably out of everything that I planned to ask at Media Day. That was the one I was most interested hearing an answer to. And I thought his answer was really interesting. On this show, we've been in here, we've been talking about how this might need to be Kyrie's responsibility. It's still going to be Klay sometimes. We haven't really talked about Luka.
Yeah.
And that's the first place he went. He said, Luka, you gotta hike up your shorts and you've got to be the guy guarding players, even if they're a little faster than you.
You got to go guard somebody.
Yeah. And yes, he's, Jason Kidd has a funny way of making half jokes, but he goes to the end and he's not joking. And he, of course, he is not joking. Luka has to guard. Luka has never, any team he's had in Dallas, he's never had this many ball handlers. He's arguably never had this much offensive talent, but certainly I think shot creation, whether you view that as Klay Thompson, even if Klay Thompson isn't isolating to get a shot, Klay Thompson has a unique
He's an
ability.
attention commander.
Yes, very much so.
There's a lot of attention commanders. There's a lot of ball handlers. There's a lot of people who can put the ball on the ground and they can dribble into their own shot. This, in a lot of ways, could be the lightest load that Luka has had any point in his NBA career on the offensive end. That doesn't mean that he's going to, take fewer than 20 shots. We're still on the record that, there's a good chance he leads the league in scoring and assists, but it's not on him every night. And that means that when he needs to go slap the floor and guard somebody, when he needs to lock into that, that's something that he's going to have to do. That's something that Jason Kidd and the coaching staff and the team is expecting him to do. And so I do think that was a very illuminating answer. And I do think it's going to be by committee. Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, they're going to have just as much responsibility if this is the starting five. Jason Kidd didn't quite commit to it, as the official starting five. But if this is going to be the starting five, and
he didn't go full JJ Redick on the thing.
we do expect this to be the starting five, with PJ at the 4 and Lively at the 5.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be responsibility for all three of those guards, 1, 2, and 3, in the starting lineup to go guard somebody who in previous seasons, they were not asked to do that.
I mean, the Mavs went from among the very worst defenses in the NBA to among the very best defenses in the NBA overnight at the end of last season.
The best defense in the league in the last 20 games of the season.
Yeah, and it took them having one meeting after one game, and then the next time they took the floor was completely different. Now, the Mavs rolled out a slightly different lineup. Daniel Gafford replaced Lively. Derek Jones Jr. replaced Josh Green at the time, but it's not like Jones was defending any harder than he had been all season. It's not like Daniel Gafford was playing harder than he did all year or whatever.
Who was playing harder?
Yeah, it was Luka and Kyrie.
Yes.
It was those two guys digging in, and that is eye test stuff to back up the stats. And again, we went through this in one of our shows last week. When the Mavs just weren't the worst defense in the NBA last season, they won 80% of their games. They were 42-9 whenever they did not have the worst defensive rating in the league on any given night. You're not asking Luka or Kyrie, or in this case, Klay now, to do that much, but they have to do their job. The Mavs' defensive system is built on having help. It's on having really crisp rotations.
Everybody
and then
being
help
connected.
behind you,
Yes.
and then you got a helper helping the helper. And it is every single possession is 5-man defense. And that's because, Derek Jones Jr., incredible isolation defense notwithstanding, the Mavs don't have a lot of lockdown, shutdown defenders. They never really have. This has been an offensive-minded team for a very, very long time. So you have to have a team concept defensively. There's no shutdown. There's no go put him on an island, on Revis Island, and take Randy Moss out of the game or whatever like that. Luka's going to switch on to guys. Kyrie's going to switch on to guys. Klay's going to switch on to guys. And even if they don't, even if you can hide Luka on a shooter in the corner, Well, his rotation of that corner shooter better be really freaking good.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then Klay better be able to slide over and help really freaking quickly. Or Kyrie better muscle up against a bigger guard as often as he needs to, because you cannot be a target. The Mavs cannot have multiple targets on the floor. They have to have everybody pulling their weight, even to be average.
When this team is at their best, you mentioned the rotations are quick. Everyone's communicating. But yet for me, and I'm glad you asked that question because it's yet another example of Jason Kidd, whether, slightly jokingly or not, him calling out his superstar on the defensive end again. And he has been willing to do that over the years since taking over as head coach. Said, hey, if it's going to be us as a defensive team, it starts with the superstar leading that charge. And I'm going to let him know publicly, privately, whatever, that he's got to be the one to at least be competent on the defensive end. That's all I think we've ever asked of Luka is if you're competent on that side of the floor, you're going to give the rest of your guys a chance to be able to not only take your lead, but also be better as an overall team defense. And we're not saying he's got to be all defensive, all first team NBA defensive player or whatever. He just has to be good enough to where, as you mentioned, he's not a target being picked on, because remember in his first few years, teams were willing to go out and target him and pick on him.
And the Clippers tried it in the playoffs, and it didn't work. That's why the Mavs
Exactly.
won, because Luka held his own.
Exactly. So I
He
think
can
that's
do it.
the biggest takeaway for me when it comes to just be competent on that side of the floor, and this defense is going to be much better this year.
I like that point that it is, on its face, it literally is Jason Kidd calling out Luka. I didn't even clock it that way. I don't think of it that way, because Jason Kidd has made it clear that no player is not too important, too high in the hierarchy to not deserve a comment like that. And again, it was not a bad call out. This is
not
nothing
at all.
bad.
But it will be in December if they're 24th again.
But I guess my point is, like, Jason Kidd can get away with it. Not even get away with it. He has earned the right to do this in Luka's mind. And like, if Rick Carlisle was out here saying that, like, it would go over totally differently.
Do you remember there was a post-game presser where I'm pretty sure it was against the Blazers, and I'm pretty sure Luka made a mistake, and Rick kind of said something about it, and then left, and then came back into the press conference room to say, actually, I was wrong. I just went back and watched the tape, and no, that was totally my bad, and Dorian Finney-Smith's bad, and everybody else's. Luka was fine. Rick did not have that. Yeah, he just didn't have it with Luka.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, for the same reason, I didn't clock it as a call out. And again, it's just like, technically it is. It was all. It's constructive.
Yes,
it was a constructive comment. And because Jason Kidd is who he is as a head coach, because he represents what he represents to Luka, because they have that relationship, if and when Luka comes across this same clip, he's going to take it the same way.
Yeah,
he's gonna understand where it's coming from, and he's going to understand that this is what the coaching staff is asking of him. So
another reason, though, why that playoff run was so important, because that was like the proof. The proof is in the pudding, right?
Like, you can do it.
Yeah, and J Kidd, first off, has the relationship, investment or whatever to be able to say that to Luka in person, but then also through the media. But then also you could say, you did it last year and we went to the finals. Imagine how good we would be if you did it all season. And Luka, that Kyrie's going to do it too.
Yep.
Klay is going to do it too. And now Kyrie's a little older, Klay's a little older, Luka's not the fastest guy in the world either, so it might not look pretty all the time. But if you give consistent effort, then you will eventually produce consistent results. That's what they need: effort. Get back on defense. Get in a stance. Close out sharply. Make a guy make a dribble move before getting past you. Like, just don't make it easy. That's the number one thing. Just don't make it easy on them.
And you can't ask that if you're not putting the roster around the team. If you're asking Luka to carry, a bunch of players who aren't going to be in the league next year, which he's been asked to do before.
Yeah.
It's a different proposition. This also depends on the front office, putting the talent and the players, the skill sets, around him, that he can comfortably feel like, if he's expending his energy on the defensive end, that it's not a wash on the offensive end on the other way, or that he can't do what he knows he has to do, that he's the only person capable of doing on the offensive end. So you have to ask for a lot. There's a lot that goes into this ask. It's the front office, it's the coaching staff, it's the past history, it's and it's just the respect that you have with a superstar like Luka Doncic. And if it's ever all come together in one season, like this is the season for all of those things to have a little check mark next to them, within the Luka tenure in Dallas.
And Luka's already got that mindset about disrespect. Like we see him talking trash to the opposing coaching staff whenever they just keep switching off some, in his eyes, bum to guard him one-on-one. If I were Luka, I would take it as disrespect that teams want to mismatch hunt me all game.
Yeah, trying
you think
to
you
find
can
me,
score
pick
on
me all day. Yeah,
you think you can do that? You think it's gonna be easy on you, James Harden? Like hell no.
Yeah,
I'm gonna shut you down right now. If he takes that sort of like, if he takes it personally, to quote MJ, then yeah, maybe he could be a really, 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 really good defender.
And again, we've seen him do well in terms of his isolation defense. For the most part, last year he was a top 10 steals guy. Like when he has the mindset to be a good, competent defender, he can do it. Now it's just about consistently putting that effort in and night out, and the buy-in from this team, from its superstar on down. Jason Kidd setting that constructive tone to be able to put that team in position, and it starts with Luka Doncic to be able to do that going forward. So Luka got to guard somebody. He'll guard somebody this year. Coming up here in just a moment, we'll get into Cato's Corner, Tim's news and notes and takeaways from today's media day, and we'll react to some of those here in just a moment. But before we get there, Bobby, talk to me a little bit about Shady Rays.
Well, I got a very exciting package coming to me in the mail this week. I expect very soon to open up a box and find a brand new pair of Shady Rays glasses.
Woo.
Getting me ready for, even though it's not summer anymore, it is still sunny outside. And that winter sun, that winter sun hits different too. So get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last from our friends at Shady Rays, where they've got you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. More than 300,000 people have rated their products 5 stars, and as soon as I try them on for the first time, I'm probably going to become 300,001. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a generous rater. Their shades have durable frames, crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor activities, whether it's disc golf or, Tim, are you a big lake guy?
I've been to a lake before.
Kevin?
I have been to a lake before.
Well, what do you need when you go to the lake?
A fishing
sunglasses.
rod. Sunglasses. Yeah, you're right.
And what happens when you go to the lake? When I go to the lake, I lose my sunglasses.
Yeah, one time I'm on top of I guess like the lake house or like the boat house out on the water, and my friend's down in the water, and he's like, "Hey, can you throw me down my sunglasses?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down for this." And everybody else is like, "Don't throw them," but me and him are so convinced that we're gonna make this connection.
You
right to the bottom of the lake.
Forever.
No, for the record, I hit his hands. I hit his hands, but they went. It was a deflected sunglass pass right off his hands into the bottom
Shady
of
Rays.
Lake.
Correct.
So the problem is, if you lose your sunglasses, most of the time you lose your sunglasses. That's on you, buddy. Try harder next time. You're gonna have to buy a new pair. But at Shady Rays, hey, they have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. Hey, even if you don't like your shades, they come in the mail. You don't like them. Hey, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Team always has your back with their personal and fast support. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the year. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Again, code DLLS at shadyrays.com.
And after you get your fantastic pair of Shady Rays, you need some apparel to go with that as well. That's where I take you over to FOCO. Get fitted out in the best sports gear around. They've got hoodies, shoes, signs. They even got bobbleheads and everything in between as well. If you're going to a basketball game, like a Mavericks game or a Cowboys game or a hockey game or a baseball game, make sure that you get some team-branded friendship bracelets from FOCO as well, whether it's jackets, beachwear, or even overalls for Tim Cato. There is something for fans for almost every occasion, even set decorations like some of the ones you see here on set. FOCO has donated a few awesome pieces for our set, so make sure you go show them some love as well. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in the description below for all non-presale items and use the promo code DLLS10 for 10% off today. Shout out to FOCO. Coming up here in just a moment, Tim Cato's notes in Cato's Corner as he gives us his main takeaways from today's media day. As you heard from your favorite Mavericks as they get ready for training camp beginning tomorrow, we will have boots on the ground in Las Vegas. Stein's on a plane right now to go over to Vegas to get ready to cover your Dallas Mavericks for training camp beginning this week. 2 days, by the way, starting tomorrow for your Dallas Mavericks. But we debut a new segment here on DLLS Mavs where we put Tim in the corner so he can knock down some threes. It is Cato's Corner. his main takeaways from Media Day. We'll have a chance to react to some of those. Tim, what was some of the things that illuminated for you today when it came from Mavericks Media Day?
That's actually so much kinder saying I'm in the corner to knock down threes rather than in timeout.
Exactly.
Okay.
I got you, Tim. I got you,
I'm coming
man.
around on this. I'm coming around on this.
Man.
Tim's corner 3.
That's right. Corner 3. There you go. Cato's corner 3.
So what do we think? Did Luka look skinny?
He looked svelte. I like it. He looked good to me.
New haircut too, a proper fade.
Yeah. Yeah, that stood out. I saw a lot of tweets about that.
Yeah.
People believe that an MVP season is coming. I believe Austin Guria tweeted this because he finally got a proper fade.
Yeah.
By the way, quick hot take on that. Every NBA player needs to get a good barber, okay? I don't care if you get one from your hometown, you go find one. You need a good barber because you don't need to be looking like Kevin Durant out here acting like you ain't got a haircut before every game. That's all I got to say about that. Back to you, Tim.
They have barbers at the Mavericks training facility.
I'm saying, well, cool. Yeah. Every NBA team should adopt that. Get you a team barber or one that you feel comfortable with because your relationship with your barber is everything. That's
Look good, play good.
That's right.
Feel good.
That's right. That's right. That's my PSA for today. Go ahead,
Luka
Tim.
began his interview session with a joke. You remember that?
Oh, he did begin with a joke.
He sits down and he says, how's everyone's summer? He said, I missed y'all. Do you believe
Was that the joke?
And then he said that was part of the joke. Okay. But then he said, let's go around and everybody say a little bit about what you did this summer.
And so he didn't have to talk.
Yeah, I'm just I think if every single person went around and said a little bit about that somewhere, I think he knew that we might have run out of time to ask him questions.
That's actually like a real discreet way of owning the general stereotypical question of like, how was your summer? He's like, if you or anyone else in that room began to actually tell him what you did this summer, you'd be like, oh, this actually sounds really boring. Maybe this isn't interesting at all.
Yeah.
Except Luka has incredible summers. He has great summers.
He's getting a little bit funnier. I don't think that's true. I think that he is getting
Actually,
in a different way.
it's not true.
He is starting to show his humor. He's always been a funny guy. That's what I meant. He's finally comfortable enough that in his press conference settings, even if he doesn't do a whole lot of sit downs, unless it's Mark Stein.
That's right.
That's right.
Even if he doesn't do a whole lot of sit down interviews, he understands at this point of his career, press conferences is part of his job. And he is beginning to enjoy them a little bit more, or at least show that he is Luka Doncic and like show that he, has a personality off the court and on the court, sure has one. He's starting to show that, with a microphone in his face as well. Just a little bit. I thought that was fun. What else do we want to talk about? One more thing for Luka.
Yeah.
I asked him about how Klay and the spacing is going to change the team. From an X's and O's standpoint, his answer was rather generic. It's not something I need to read back. But I did ask, he talked about there's going to be more spacing. And I asked if he's going to have more dunks. And his answer was no. Maybe.
That's right.
Yeah.
That question that was for you. That was for you.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that. Yeah, he had 2 dunks last season.
Do you think
which
he's
is
going to
despicable?
Yeah.
Wow. Say what you just
do better.
Good gracious.
I think
2 dunks. He played like 75 games.
I don't think there's any chance
he's not an above the rim player.
Do better.
Okay.
He's got to have. I bet he's going to have more than 2.
Okay, I mean that's not bold. Will
It's
he
not
have
very bold.
more than 10?
Who will have more? Did we do this question?
Is there a sleeper option on this?
Luka
season
dunks for
dunks?
a season?
Yeah, is that a thing?
More or less than. I feel like 8.5 is a good.
Oh my god, that's so sad.
9.5.
Lively hits more
so
threes
sad.
than Luka has dunks this year.
So Dereck Lively, speaking of it,
Mark
we can combine both of these. We can mesh these. But Dereck Lively was asked about his 3-point shooting or how many threes he's going to take. He said he does not have a green light. It is more feeling out how the game is going, what the score is, what the situation is.
So it's like a yield sign.
It sounded a little bit like
cautionary. Yes.
But he also said in that same sentence, which in my opinion is a little contradictory with him saying he does not in fact have a green light. Some games he might only take 1 or 2 threes.
Okay, only.
Some games it might be more than that. He did clarify that there are guys he would much rather be shooting threes than him on the court. And so he's not out here looking to jack them up.
At least he is self-aware.
Yes. I think it's just the average game he's going to be taking 1 or 2 threes. That still feels very high to me.
Agreed.
But I think he will be shooting them. Everything.
What did we set it at? It was around like 100.
It wasn't that high. Attempts.
attempts.
One of y'all said
yeah.
like 80 attempts. I think it was you who maybe said like 80
I
attempts.
think
maybe.
he might take one again.
Yeah. I think that's what I said.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
say that he probably averages, just as he averaged more than 1 3 a game.
Mm.
I would just take a shade under that.
Yeah.
But he
If
keeps
he
talking
makes
about
one,
this.
you know he's going to take a second one. Like,
And
you
I will
know
say,
he's going to do it.
Dereck Lively is not somebody, if he's been told all summer, anytime he's interacted with Jason Kidd or the coaching staff, if they're telling him, hey, we're not ready for it, you're not ready for it.
Mhm.
We need to focus on everything else. We're going to save that another season. We're going to keep working on it. If he had been told that all summer, I think he would be very open and honest about it. It's very clear that Dallas has not told him that. Now, if he starts 2 of 13 to begin the year, shooting wide open threes, that conversation may happen. Or it may happen in the sense that, it's let's scale back even what we're looking to do with your 3-point shot.
Yeah.
But it's very clear to me that Dallas at no point has at any point this summer has told him, hey, that's not happening for you. So it stood out to me. Just a small thing.
Yeah, we'll see. It depends on how teams guard him.
Yeah.
Let's see. I thought it was interesting. Markieff Morris said he was only ever coming back to the Mavericks. So once you hit 35, 36 as an NBA media, as an NBA player, your media training is either so airtight you can just say nothing, or you're saying F that. I'm gonna say whatever.
Yeah.
He said he is on a 3-year plan for Dallas. This is year 2 of a 3-year plan.
Okay.
He will be back next year. In his words, he's also coming back next season.
Okay.
He also said he tried really hard to get Marcus, his brother, here.
Yep.
And he said that
For whose spot?
I assume it would have been the last one instead of Dinwiddie.
Okay.
He didn't say
Yeah,
which
that was a
one.
rumor at the time.
He didn't say which one, but I assume that. He said that yes and no to whether it was close. At times, sometimes yes, sometimes no. And then he said something to the effect of there's always interest until it's time to sign papers.
Yeah.
So
It's always close until it's time to sign.
I did not read. I think he is just naturally bummed that his brother is not playing for this team. This not like don't run with this and think it's more than it is. He's just bummed. He's bummed that his brother isn't on the team. Clearly, it was in consideration, or it seems like it was in consideration, and Dallas, the front office, ultimately opted to go another way. So
It wouldn't surprise me if he was on the team next season.
Yeah, I think it's a good.
Marcus.
Yeah.
Marcus Morris.
Oh, okay.
I guess Markieff too. But
Yeah. Well, Markieff said
There will be a Morris
yeah.
twin on the Mavericks next year.
And maybe even both.
It's possible.
By the way, did you catch the bit that he was doing after every answer to a question he would give?
I don't think I saw this.
The chat has caught on to it, and I caught on it as well. He would pat himself on the back.
Yeah. Okay. It must be. You'll see the TikTok soon.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
his challenge was to pat himself on the back after every answer.
Were there any other bits? Could y'all decipher?
I couldn't tell if there was any other bits that were decipherable, but the one definitely for sure was Marcus Morris patting himself on the back after every answer that he gave. Markieff. Yes. patting
Yeah.
himself
Why
on the
was
back.
Marcus there?
No, he was
He's not
there.
on the team.
Could we have known?
He's not on the team.
What would we have known if that was actually Marcus?
There's a weird story about that. I'm not really.
By the way, shout out to the chat for recognizing that. By the way, that he was patting himself on the back after every answer.
I think all else I thought it was interesting. Kyrie talked a little bit about jumping off 2 feet, longevity, learning how to fall, that stuff that I'm very
Absorbing
interested
contact,
in.
yeah.
Oh, Gafford saying cowboy a bunch.
He did. Okay, now that you mention it, shout out to Jacob. He did say cowboy.
That's a good one.
Because he said him and Live are going to be a pair of Cowboys this year.
Did anybody say Rangers or Stars? Were they just doing a bunch of DLLS references?
I don't know.
They might have been.
I don't
Oh my
know.
God.
We'll have to go back and watch.
Daniel Gafford, come on DLLS Mavs Podcast. I'm sorry, Tim.
But yeah, the Cowboy
I think you're right about that.
Was definitely one for sure.
I was not there. I see Mr. 007, James Bond themselves in the chat asking, wasn't I there? No, I was
They
not
were
there.
shocked that you were not there.
I was here making sure that the place didn't burn down because
Bobby was holding
everybody
down
else
the
was
fort for
gone.
us, yes.
Yeah, we need a team back home as well. It's kind of like when the defensive coordinators go up in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah,
you
I'm-
with the
yeah.
football ref.
I'm the quality control coach.
So the only other one I wanted to get to, we could take it after the break. We could do it now. Spencer Dinwiddie, his comments.
Oh, yeah. Just sneak that in.
So both the comments, it was always about comfort zones. Both LA and Dallas fan bases thought it was about them. I'm quoting Spencer Dinwiddie directly here. But it really wasn't about them. It was man versus bully. You know what I'm saying? And at this point, I still do not know what he's saying.
No, we do not.
And again, this is referencing when he talked about his mom and his dad, mama and dad, and his dad, and
because he definitely tried to bring up the comment for sure.
The
question,
he got to this within his first answer. The
Yes.
first answer did not directly address those comments he made about choosing the Lakers over the Mavericks at
In this example, is
at
the
the
bully
buyout.
society? Like, what is the bully?
Man versus bully. It was man versus bully. You know what I'm saying? Given
Yeah.
what happened in Brooklyn, I don't know what categories, points, and threes. He had been talking earlier in the answer. This is me interrupting. He had been talking about how he had, at various points been a leading scorer, been someone who was very good. Actually, let me just skip past that. But he was hurt by his exit from Brooklyn. He says, my perspective was man versus bully. It wasn't about either fan base. I was facing some adversity and trying to take a harder path. It was just growth. Trying to take a harder path, that I can understand.
Yeah, respect.
Basically, even when he said the mom versus dad comments last March, would have been March, maybe late February, I always perceived it as he still views himself as a rotation player, a very good NBA player. Coming to Dallas, he wasn't guaranteed a rotation spot. In LA, he felt very confident he could have a larger role, and he did. He played every game. Would he have played every game if he had come to Dallas? Maybe, maybe not. He probably would have been. He would have been playing in the finals.
Yeah, he probably
He would have been playing. Probably against probably the last 3 series. But I'm
If
not
they
sure.
still-
He would have
who
been.
knows what the butterfly effect is? Maybe they
Right.
sign him and lose to the Clippers. Who knows? You have no idea.
Everything
possible.
happens for a reason.
It's
Yeah.
possible.
Everything
So,
happens for a reason.
The one question I had a hand up. The mic didn't get to me before they ended it. I was going to ask Spencer Dinwiddie about what Dallas, when he signed here, told him about his role. Did not get to that. There was a question asked similar to that, but we did not get him actually on. I'm very curious to have that asked. It'll happen this week at some point. We'll get some answers to that. But that is the one question that I did not get a chance to ask that I would have liked to. Very curious what he says Dallas is saying about his role.
Well, Tim, you knocked down a bunch of corner threes there. I appreciate you obliging the new segment. Cato's Corner 3 here on DLLS Mavs. Coming up here in just a moment, what did you see or hear that has you excited about the Mavericks based off of what they talked about today at Mavericks Media today? But before we get there, Bobby, talk to me about becoming a diehard member here at DLLS Sports.
There are so many new and beautiful people in the chat that might not have watched any of our programs before, and I'm excited to let you know about what we're doing here at DLLS Sports. You go to alldlls.com/diehard. You can sign up to become a diehard member today. It's less than $7 a month. When you sign up, you get a promo code for a free shirt, which covers almost half the cost of the membership. You can also join the Discord server that's for diehards only. You get a discount on future merch, discount on future events. You get to read the entire site. There's no paywall. That's going to get you all of Tim Cato's stuff, all of my stuff, all of Kevin's stuff, all Stars, well, we're the Mavs. Stars,
That's right.
Rangers, and Cowboys articles. We got some college sports coverage coming your way as well. So there's a whole lot of bennies whenever you sign up to become a diehard. So join today, and shout out to Andrew, to Benny, to Jesse, to Gerald, to Polo, to Jimmy. They all became diehards over the weekend. So shout out to each and every one of you.
Is nobody no Clays?
Klay might use a pseudonym.
Oh,
Okay. Fair enough.
I don't want to, I
Okay.
don't want to give the game away, but many
Or maybe he
NBA
already
players
signed up.
do use pseudonyms.
yeah.
Maybe he did. I could
Right.
look, but it would require running the reports.
We don't need to do
Like
that.
millions
More
of people
work
are
for you.
diehards. Yeah, and I just don't really want to. So yeah, give us a shot. But hey, we do stuff every day on YouTube. So 5
Oh, I
days
know
a
what you
week
do.
we do live
hold
streaming, live podcasts here. And once the season starts, we're gonna be doing pre and post game for every single dang regular season game. So got a lot of fun stuff and coverage coming your way this season with the Mavs.
And you get a physical diehard card as well. So make sure you go to alldlls.com/diehard. Become a diehard member today. 20% off events. Cool merchandise as well. Member only Discord. So many amazing benefits by becoming a diehard member here at DLLS Sports. And remember, the best way you can help us grow for any of our videos and podcasts, like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports here on YouTube. And make sure you give the podcast a 5-star rating and write a review for them while you're there. Gentlemen, as we finish up our show today, it's been a busy day for your Dallas Mavericks Media Day, having a chance to hear from your favorite Mavericks as they get ready for training camp beginning tomorrow. Again, Mark Stein, boots on the ground in Vegas, on a plane right now to Las Vegas and Sin City to cover your Mavericks as they get ready for two-a-day practices beginning tomorrow. In the chat, what did you hear or see today from Mavericks Media Day that has you most excited about your team as you got the chance to hear from your Mavericks? Tim,
Tanner, if there's any good questions that we haven't got to, I'd love to answer that one or answer chat questions. Also, long live organic. Ask Cato, where was Nico? You usually don't see front office personnel at Media Day. It's the head coach and it's all the players, but really, even more than the interviews. The interviews are important, but what Media Day is for is it's you're getting a lot of like your B-roll, a lot of the stuff that you see on television productions where players are, clearly on a green screen, like doing a little dance or a jig.
Do you like coffee or tea?
Yeah,
that's all Media Day.
They're standing on business. A lot of those clips that you go into and out of commercial breaks with for a TV broadcast. That's where those are done.
Gladiator shots.
Gladiator shots. I didn't know that, but I did know of their concept.
Oh, I got a whole bunch of jargon that I can teach you. So we're working together now. I can teach you all this stuff.
What else happens at Media Day? That's a big part of what.
Yeah,
right?
I mean it's mostly for photos. There's a lot of photos.
There's a lot of photos too. Yeah,
some behind the scenes stuff is great, but also it's like the NBA has a list of poses that every player has to do. So straight on, from an angle, holding the ball, not holding the ball, hands on hip, passing the ball, shooting the ball, dribbling the ball, spinning the ball. Like you got to do all that stuff for all sorts of for promotional.
The interview room we were in.
That was fierce. That was fierce.
That could have been louder.
I saw Omax, your boy Omax, do his. And he was just screaming at the top of his lungs. You could hear him from the other room just go, I was like, okay,
that's the kind of infectious energy that this team has been missing. By the way, one thing that stood out to me, I saw Omax feels like he might have a bigger role this year after all, which would be surprising to me. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but it would be surprising.
What gave you that impression?
That he said it.
Oh, well, yeah.
He's like, the one thing I did hear today from Media Day was Omax. Of course, that's the one thing you heard today.
The quote I saw, it was Grant Afseth, sorry, who said, I think it was like a quote, like, I feel like I'll have a bigger role this year. End quote.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Sorry.
Another thing that we kept hearing, I'm curious if you clocked this, but there's very clearly a fog machine, a smoke machine.
Okay.
In one of the rooms next to us in the interview. In fact, at one point, I'd walked out of the media room and the interview room, and I walked back in, and it was like, it was smoky
foggy in here. Yeah, exactly.
It's probably I hadn't noticed during the moment
television
because it just. But yeah, so all sorts of stuff like that is happening.
You get some fog or some cryo or some dry ice.
Yeah. So an importance of what happens at Media Day: Mark Stein interviews.
Yep.
Followed by gladiator shots and leak photos, followed by the interviews that happen. So that's why you're not going to see any front office personnel. In fact, I didn't even see them one. I'm sure they're there somewhere.
I ran into Andrew Baker before.
Shout out Andrew.
Yeah, before the.
Is he okay? Are you okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Was it a heavy collision?
No. It was just literally, hey, what's up, Andrew? Good to see you.
Luke asked Kid opinions on Hardy. Did Hardy come up at all, or was there?
Jason Kidd said Jaden Hardy is going to get a chance. He's going to get his chance. He's going to get his opportunities, and that's kind of what we've been saying as well, right? Like there is going to be a moment. Jaden Hardy's going to be in that rotation. Mm-hmm. He's going to get a chance. He's going to get a shot. Now, when it happens, how he does with it, how the rotation plays out from there, depending on his performances. Those are the questions I have. But there's no doubt in my head that Jaden Hardy is going to be playing real games, real minutes for this team. First half minutes, rotation minutes at some points of the season.
He's going to get a chance to earn it. Yeah.
I just don't know when that will happen. And it's up to Hardy to make the most of them.
It's going to be tough. It's a big year for him.
I'll say one of the big things for me that I took away from it, I mentioned a little bit earlier, and we'll go a little bit more in depth with it here, is the word competition. Jason Kidd talking about that today. We know based off of what he said today that Dereck Lively is going to get the first crack at it when it comes to being the starting center for this team. But he was very interesting in terms of his comments about, hey, look, 48 minutes of rim protection between Lively and Gafford. But there's going to be a lot of competition to see how guys are able to make their way in this training camp. Jaden Hardy being a part of that as well. Dante Exum, like all of these guys are going to have to come into camp ready to bring it, because I think that's going to be one of the themes of this year is how these guys compete not only in practice every day, but obviously what they do on the floor. But I thought that was a big takeaway for me, is that they're going to foster that. You heard it from some of the players as well. on what that will look like and the intensity of what that will look like in camp. So I'm very, very interested to see how that plays itself out over the coming days in practice, because it sounds like that's a buzzword or a theme, if you will, of what this early portion of the season is going to look like in terms of them competing, not just in practice, but obviously on the floor as well.
It's important to have an environment of intensity.
Jason Kidd wants to foster that this year, yes.
You know, like you went to the finals last year, you're probably going to be really good unless you suffer some really serious injuries. I don't know if that picked up at all, but like you're going to have to earn it. I mean, how many games last year did the Mavs win in the final 2 minutes of the game? How many playoff games did the Mavs win in the 2 final minutes? Like nothing's going to be handed to you.
Yeah.
You know, this is like Southeast Ohio. Like nothing is given, everything is earned. The Mavs are going to have to go out there and earn it. So, you know, if there are
clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose.
If there are players from within the
full
locker
Friday
room
Night Lights bit here
that are going to be pushing those other rotation players like Jaden Hardy, you're going to have to earn it. All right, that means it's going to come at Spencer Dinwiddie's expense, or at Dante Exum's expense, or at Quentin Grimes' expense. All of those guys are playing for their NBA futures, so the other 3 guys are going to be pushing Hardy too. So like everybody is going to be pushing each other, which is important because all these Mavs opponents are going to be pushing the Mavs, not just like in the standings, but also like physically pushing the Mavs. They're going to try and rough up Luka. They're going to try and rough up Kyrie. They're going to try and rough up Klay. Like the defensive rules are a little more lax this year, hopefully. So like it's going to be physical. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a grind. You got to be ready for it.
Long Live Organic asked about Omax's number change. He said 8 is a family number.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't remember what else he said. I think I was texting our group chat trying to figure out what we were doing on the show at the time.
Yes, that was a big
yes. He said it was a family number that inspired the change. That he's had family members who've worn it in the past,
and also his full name has 8 syllables. How about that?
Of course,
Olivier Maxence Prosper. That's 9.
Olivier Maxence Prosper.
That's
all right. While those two debated the syllables,
Maxence
what is happening?
Prosper.
Chat, is it 8 or 9? Let us know.
It's 8. I miscounted. I'm a journalist. I'm not expected to do math.
Wow. It's like one time my buddy in high school said we were all in marching band, so we're all a bunch of dorks. And someone asked, how many vowels are in the word sousaphone? And he goes, 3, sousaphone. Like,
what? Hey, shout out to our guy Felipe with the super chat.
What's up, Felipe?
Let's throw that up in there. Felipe.
541.
Super chat. Commitment to the bit. Love it, Felipe. Quote, great show. No way Klay. No way Klay starts long term, not over Naji if we want to be a defensive team.
That is a spicy take. That's a spicy take.
I have seen a lot of Mavs fans feel that way, that if they want to reach their defensive peak, that Naji Marshall would eventually be the starter at the, I guess, the 3-ish 4 spot for the Mavericks for them to be the kind of defensive team.
It's not an unreasonable opinion. Right? Because at the top of the show, we were talking about how you can't have 3 targets on the floor. But if Klay is just able to hold his own, if Luka is able to hold his own, and I think Kyrie, like, I'm not sure exactly what the individual, like, DBPM stuff was like for Kyrie, or DPM whatever for Kyrie was last year, but it seemed like just based on the eye test, Kyrie was fine for most of last season. If those guys can just be fine, then the defense will be fine. But if they want to be a top 10, then they might have to get a little creative. However, I will say I don't think that even if they start the game together, like the Luka, Kyrie, Klay trio starts the game, I don't think they're going to be on the floor as a trio for more than 15 or 20 minutes a game. I think you're going to see 4 or 5 minutes in the first quarter, 4 or 5 minutes in the second, 4 or 5 minutes in the third, and then maybe a few in the fourth, depending on substitution patterns and stuff. It's not like they're going to be out on the floor for 30 minutes a game together or anything until the playoffs. So they have 82 games to figure that out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's not crazy to think that Klay might eventually come off the bench, but it's a
I'd be
little
surprised
crazy.
if it was this year, but
it's
like
next year,
the year after.
I mean, that depends on Klay's physical health.
Because much, there is pride for these guys. There really is.
I think you're gonna see a motivated Klay on the defensive end this year.
I I think I might find it a little bit likelier that Naji starts over PJ than I do Naji starts over.
That's a bold take too.
Over Klay.
I mean, the ultimate idea too is that none of these guys are going to have to carry as much on offense, so they should be able to dig in a little more on defense.
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
That means you got to go guard somebody.
You have to. I mean, because
you got to go guard somebody.
Look, you can go to the finals being like a 15th ranked defense or something. You cannot go to the finals being a bottom 5 defense. You're not even going to make the playoffs if you're a bottom 5 defense this year. Certainly not the top 6. So the Mavs have to be somewhere around 18th, between 18th and 15th, if they want to host Game 1. And if you want to be the number 1 seed in the West, you're going to have to be top 10.
I mean, again, like we said last year, if you can be an average defense, you're going to win a lot of ball games. And we saw how much better they became with the additions of Washington and Gafford. The expectation, I think, is somewhat of the same. If you can be a top 15 defense, you're going to be okay, because historically this offense is going to be one of the best I think we've ever seen, given the amount of points that they're going to score night in and night out. Shout out to Felipe for the super chat here on DLLS Mavs. That's how we'll end it today here on our show. Really appreciate all of you joining us here on DLLS Mavs. It was a busy day, of course, for Mavericks Media Day. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Our guy Mark Stein is going to be joining us live on the show from Las Vegas as the Mavericks get ready to open up training camp. 2-a-days for the first couple of days. It's going to be a busy next couple of days for your Dallas Mavericks. Again, the best way you can help us grow here at DLLS Sports, like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Make sure you give the podcast a 5-star rating and write a review for them while you're there for all of your Cowboys, Stars, Mavericks, and Rangers coverage here on DLLS Sports. For Bobby, Tim, I'm Kevin. We're DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12 p.m. here on DLLS Sports. Y'all be good.
We all silly like the mayor.